online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design. Take a computer course. Learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today: rain showers are likely throughout the day. We'll see a high of around 44. Tonight, rain showers continuing, perhaps a few flurries possible as well. We'll see a low around 33. And tomorrow, a chance of rain, perhaps a little snow in the morning. Then probably sunny skies for the afternoon. We'll see a high of around 43. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The holidays are right around the corner. This is a great year to give your family and loved ones the gift of shoes to encourage them to stay active. Fleet Feet Lincoln fits you properly for shoes, and they offer a free group that meets 3 days a week, plus other training programs and a walking group on Mondays. Get healthy, stay healthy with proper shoe wear from Fleet Feet Lincoln and a group of friends that will support you and keep you accountable. Start your health adventure at Fleet Feet Lincoln at 77th and Pioneers.
Join Planet Fitness now and get the PF Black Card for only $24.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
And massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel fit-tacular. Only $24.99 a month. Our most popular membership, the PF Black Card, is your ticket to getting all the perks. Join today. See Club for details.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-2840.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Adam Carriker on The Ticket.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker, who ripped him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. I slept in today. Didn't feel like being on time, so we're an hour later. I'm just kidding. The Ticket brought you some awesome stuff for the past hour. They asked if I'd bump it back. Of course. I'll do anything for The Ticket. Phenomenal people who do a great job. But it is Adam Carriker on the ticket live each and every Monday and Friday.
We're having a little bit of trouble hearing from you, Adam. I don't know if we're having our own issues back here, if you've got your mic on mute or anything, but we could try a few different things here as we try to get Adam Carriker live. This is Jake Bachman back at the 93.7 The Ticket Studios. And as we're saying, this is at the Adam Carriker Show, so we will get this plugged in and rolling here in a minute. I'm sure he's got a lot of opinions on what's going to be going down here on what has been termed here as the visit with Dylan Raiola and some of that group coming in for the visit this weekend. But we will let me do this. We'll take a real quick break. We're going to try to settle this real quick and figure this out, and then we'll be right back to get it going. Just a few minutes here as we get the audio fix here on 93.7 The Ticket.
The holidays are right around the corner. This is a great year to give your family and loved ones a gift of shoes to encourage them to stay active. Fleet Feet Lincoln fits you properly for shoes, and they offer a free group that meets 3 days a week, plus other training programs and a walking group on Mondays. Get healthy, stay healthy with proper shoe wear from Fleet Feet Lincoln and a group of friends that will support you and keep you accountable. Start your health adventure at Fleet Feet Lincoln at 77th and Pioneers.
Join Planet Fitness now and get the PF Black Card for only $24.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
And massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel fit-tacular. Only $24.99 a month. Our most popular membership, the PF Black Card, is your ticket to getting all the perks. Join today. See Club for details.
This is Adam Carriker on the ticket.
Position right of the quarterback out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's
on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carriker.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to Adam Carriker on the ticket. I'm hoping you can hear me this time. I was flapping my gums earlier, but apparently you couldn't hear me, so you missed nothing probably. But I digress. All right, Jake, let me know. Can you hear me? Shoot me a message. Give me a thumbs up. Give me something. But I'm just going to keep talking like everyone can hear me, and we'll see if we can figure this bad boy out. But we're an hour later today. Pretty much I just slept in, didn't feel like being on time. No, I'm just kidding. They brought you some awesome stuff the past hour here on 93.7 The Ticket. They asked if I'd move back, and of course I'll do anything for the folks here at The Ticket. They're phenomenal. Again, I hope you're hearing me. So we're an hour later today, but we got a great, loaded, fast, as always, fast show each and every Monday and Friday. I'm live here on The Ticket, normally from noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Today's a little bit later. And then Tuesday, Thursday, you got the Big Ten show, Carriker Chronicles. Wednesday, Steve Taylor, All-American quarterback, is dropping his knowledge. All right. So a lot of stuff to talk about today. Volleyball, going to play for the national championship versus our good friends, our good Big 12 buddies, Texas. All right. Then let's talk a little bit of Nebraska football. Let's talk a little bit of the quarterback situation, Dylan Raiola this weekend, what's going on, what happened with Kyle McCord, so to speak. And then we got a bunch of things, honestly. I got like, this is how thick the amount of papers are for the show today. And I know I talk fast, but Lord Almighty, ladies and gentlemen, there's at least a dozen papers of notes here. So we better light this candle because I got bowl games I want to talk about. Not all of them. I mean, my God, why? So I'm going to highlight the top 11. There was 11 that stood out to me. I was going for 10. I got 11. Okay, and then as always, we got the people segment at the end of the show. You can call or text 402-464-5685. Call or text your questions, comments, concerns. If it's a comment or a concern throughout the show, hopefully Jake will send it to me. I want to react to the fans, interact with the fans. If it's a question, we'll save it for the end of the show. All right, before we dive into it and light this candle. Oh, I have one wrong to right as well. All right, so here I am on Monday, and I'm talking about how I love college football in general. Basically from 96 up until now. I feel like I got a pretty good base of knowledge of college football. So I get a couple of random questions off the wall out of nowhere from fans, and I'm nail. And then I get asked about, out of nowhere, the 96 Fiesta Bowl. They're like, Adam, who played in it? Who won? What were they ranked? What were their records? And I got it right. But when Rico looked it up, by the way, I guess he's having vacation in Florida with Derek Pearson. So enjoy your vacation down there. No, they're covering the Final Four in volleyball. But when Rico looked it up, it didn't match what I said, even though I knew I was right. And then I looked it up and it didn't match, and it didn't make any sense. At the very end, I thought I figured it out. But once we went off the air, Rico texted me. All right. And so what I said was that the Fiesta Bowl for the 96 season, off the top of my head, just a random question from a fan that I was asked, put on the spot. Do I really know what I'm talking about? Usually not. But did I know this? And I felt like I nailed it. But Wikipedia, because everything you read on the internet is right, was telling me I was wrong, even though I knew I was right, and it was driving me nuts. So after the show went off the air, because I said January 1st, 1997, the 96 Fiesta Bowl, I said it was Penn State, 2 losses, top 10 somewhere. I didn't remember where they were ranked exactly. Played an 8-4 Texas team that was ranked in the 20s somewhere the year they upset us in the Big 12 title game, yada, yada, yada. And I didn't remember the score. I just said that Penn State mollywopped Texas. And when I looked it up, and when Rico looked it up, that is not what Wikipedia showed. What Wikipedia showed was Kansas State beating Syracuse, the champions of the Big East Conference, which exists in basketball but not in football, 35-18. And I was kerfunkled because I'm like, man, I'm not always right, but I'm pretty sure I got this right. So then Rico sends me a text literally 90 seconds after we're on air, and he says, hey, let me find this. He said there's 2 Fiesta Bowls that were played within the calendar year of 1997. One played on January 1st. The other played December 31st later in the year. So the one that Rico and I happened to both look up, because we did on Wikipedia, now that I look at it, it says Fiesta Bowl 1997 January and then Fiesta Bowl 1997 December 31st, basically a year later. And that is the Kansas State versus Syracuse Fiesta Bowl that we kept seeing, which was really for the 97 season, just played on December 31st, 1997. And then, I read a little bit more, and it was like, oh, there's a Fiesta Bowl January 1st, 1997. And that was the Penn State team, ranked number 7. So I was right, somewhere in the top 10, 2 losses, got that part right. 8-4, Big 12 champ, Texas Longhorns, ranked 20th. So I was right there, and they got mollywopped 38-15. So that bothered me to no end after the show, because I take pride in, at least being right in the few things I think I'm right in, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit that too. But that bothered me to no end. So I had to write that wrong really quick, because that matters to nobody but me. But this is my show, so that's what we're going to do here. All right. Now, before we light this candle and get into stuff that really matters, all right, remember, GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, great accents for any backyard landscaping project. They sell to homeowners and contractors, and they deliver anywhere, near or far. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Check out GELandscapeSupply.com or call 402-467-1627. Also, check out everything 93.7 The Ticket is doing, whether it's Facebook, Twitter. Click the subscribe button on their YouTube channel. And if you got nothing better to do with your time, you can check out CarrikerChronicles.com and/or click the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. It's where all your football and volleyball hopes and dreams will come true. It's just science. All right. Now, let's get into volleyball. All right. You want to talk about mollywopping? I mean, that's a good Pitt team they played last night. They were a number 1 seed for a reason. The number 4 overall number 1 seed, because I believe it went Nebraska, Stanford, then Wisconsin. Then Pitt was the 4th overall seed, but a number 1 seed in their bracket, so to speak. All right, they sweep them 3-0. And that was crazy to me. And Pitt's a battle-tested team. They're a veteran team. They got experience in the Final Four. When you compare their experience to Nebraska's experience, I mean, they have a decided advantage. So I'm complimenting Pitt because they're a good team, which makes it that much more insanely impressive what Nebraska did to them, sweeping him 3-0. Really, the first set wasn't close. The third set wasn't close. It was just the middle set where I think we won by 2 points, and that was it. That was even relatively interesting to watch. Well, it was all interesting to me because I'm a Husker volleyball fan. But if you're just a general volleyball fan, that's the only one you would have found interesting. All right, so Nebraska sweeps Pitt 3-0. They blocked the Panthers 15 times, 2 shy of their season record, which was 17 versus Arkansas in the Elite Eight. All right, so we're going to play our good old buddies, Texas. Yes, I announced it that way on purpose, but you can't get mad at me because it's Texas. All right. I was shocked what I saw them do to Wisconsin. It was crazy. That's not a good Wisconsin team. That's a great Wisconsin team. I felt like it was one of those nights for Wisconsin where it was not their night. Every once in a while you go out and it's just not your night. The second time Nebraska volleyball played Wisconsin up in Madison, it was just not Nebraska's night, and it was Wisconsin's night that night, if you watch that. Now, Texas is a really good team. Wisconsin is probably the tallest team in the Final Four. Not probably. They are the tallest team in the Final Four. And so they always have the height advantage on whoever they play 99% of the time. But if you watched, okay, just my observation, they have an insane height advantage. They're incredibly good, well-coached, great program. All right. I felt like when you compared how they moved on the floor, their movement, and I don't mean no disrespect in this, it's just what I saw, their athleticism compared to Texas. I felt like Texas's athleticism and, dare I say, explosiveness was a decided advantage in Texas's favor. So now Texas gets to defend their national championship, a 2 seed in their bracket. Okay, they're gonna face Nebraska volleyball on Sunday, and I'm pumped about this part. It's not Saturday, which is when the championship normally is for volleyball. It's on Sunday, and for the first time ever, it's on network television on ABC. So I'm pretty pumped about that. It's about freaking time. This is the most viewed regular season in women's volleyball history, by the way. They had nearly 20,000 people at the Final Four last night. Okay. And I believe 2 of the most watched volleyball matches of all time happened this season. Okay. And obviously the most attended one ever when Nebraska set the world record, 92,003 people at a women's sporting event when they played UNO Memorial Stadium. So it's a pretty cool thing. So I'm pretty pumped about that. The women are finally getting their due a little bit more, as should be happening. Now, you watch Texas dismantle Wisconsin in 4 sets, now with the chance to defend their title from last season. All right. Nebraska is 2-0 versus Texas in title matchups all time. They're 3-2 versus Texas in their last 5 meetings. All right, now this is the 11th time in Husker volleyball history that they will be playing for a national title. They have 5 national titles. All right, so they're 5-5 all time. And John Cook, the AVCA Coach of the Year. All right, this is his opportunity to get his 5th national title as a head coach and the volleyball program's 6th national title here in Nebraska. All right, check that out on Sunday afternoon on ABC. Now let's talk a little Nebraska football. All right. Dylan Raiola is visiting this weekend, and Kyle McCord is no longer an option for Nebraska. There's all sorts of speculation. What happened? What went wrong? Okay, and I'm just going to tell you things that have been thrown out for anybody to hear. So this isn't specific to my ears. You know, maybe Kyle McCord's dad was a problem. He was kind of that way at Ohio State, is a rumor that I've heard. You know, maybe he doesn't want to come in and compete, which I find funny because he literally had to battle and compete 2 games into the season before he was named the starter at Ohio State. Okay, maybe the NIL deal fell through. You know, what I am hearing that I trust a little bit, I think it was a little bit more of Matt Rule's decision than maybe Kyle's. Okay, at least that's the information out of everything that's been thrown out there that I trust a little bit. Okay, I feel like that is something that may have been a little bit more of Matt Rule's decision. And if that's the case, hey, he's got to do what he feels best for the program. All right. Obviously, as everyone knows, we went from the hype of 2 quarterbacks, 5 stars, to the hope of at least 1. Because now it's kind of like, well, you know, Daniel Kalen, he's taking a visit to Michigan State. Can't blame him. You know, and I've talked about how much I like that kid on the Chronicles, on social media. You know, Dylan commits to Georgia. They call Daniel. He flips immediately to Nebraska and then peer recruits about half this recruiting class. Okay, and he's made it clear this is his dream school. Now Dylan shows interest. All right, Nebraska's showing interest, obviously. You know, so Dylan, you know, hasn't said much other than he's going to take a trip to Michigan State. Daniel's going to take a trip to Michigan State. So we'll just see how this all plays out, because now I see people freaking out that, oh, my God, we went from 2 potential Elite 11 quarterbacks in the same room, which would have been Dylan and Daniel. I don't know if that was ever going to work out, or 2 potential 5-star guys and Kyle and Dylan, you know, and now that's definitely not going to happen to, man, if Daniel goes to Michigan State or somewhere else and Kyle's out, hopefully Dylan, you know, commits, because then what? You know, you look at some of the transfer portal quarterbacks that are still out there. All right. And just a little bit of an update. And Jake, let me know if I'm wrong on any of this. Will Howard at Kansas State is not declared anywhere. Colin McCord, obviously, not an option for us, but he's still out there for someone else. Dylan Gabriel to Oregon. Cam Ward, who is actually out of everyone, and I know people love Dylan Gabriel for obvious reasons. Cam Ward is actually the guy that I would have ranked as the number one transfer portal quarterback in this entire class. Okay, and I love the fact that he basically went from a 0-star, I think a 5-star in the transfer portal as far as his ratings. All right, you look at Grayson McCall at Coastal Carolina, kid I've watched for years. All right, unknown where he's going to go. Riley Leonard's obviously going to Duke leaving Duke, going to Notre Dame after Notre Dame took Sam Hartman from Wake Forest last year. If I'm Notre Dame, at some point I got to stop doing this rent-a-quarterback stuff for 1 year at a time and start developing some of my own guys. And I know we've had umpteen Heisman Trophy winners and umpteen Heisman Trophy finalists that are transfers, but for Notre Dame specifically, it feels like a 1-year rent-a-quarterback. Like, how do you develop anybody? Can you just have them for 2 years, so to speak? All right, DJ Ukulele, he's gone from Oregon State. Tyler Van Dyke, Miami to Wisconsin. All right, Will Rogers, Mississippi State. Dante Moore, UCLA. All right, you got the Georgia quarterback, Brock Vandergriff, going to Kentucky. All right, Blake Shappen from Baylor to Michigan State, or it says MSU. I'm not sure if that's Michigan State or Mississippi State, actually. All right, MJ Morris at NC State. We're not sure where he's going. At this point, I don't know exactly. And I know, all right, Casey Thompson was seen back in Nebraska recently. Is that because he's a possibility? Is that because he's seeing some of his friends that he made in college while he was here for a year? I don't have any inside information on that. I don't pretend like I have inside information when I don't have it. When I do have inside information, sometimes I share it. Sometimes I don't, because I want, I'm not going to betray people's trust. So this is not inside information. I'm just putting myself in his shoes. I don't know that I'd be coming back to Lincoln, Nebraska just for a random visit for a place that I was at for I guess he was here a full year by the time he landed and by the time he left. Okay, because he was here, through the spring as well, so a little bit over a year. So to me, maybe I'm wrong. Obviously he was spotted with some former guys on the team, or some of his former teammates, guys that are on the team, so to speak. So we'll see how that plays out. But right now, I'm going to be honest, Nebraska really needs Dylan Raiola to commit. They just flat out do. They're in a position where I don't know how many people tell me he's a lock to come in. It's pretty much a done deal. People have gone public and saying it, and I get it. I'm just a little skeptical. 4 high schools in 4 years, 3 different states in his 4 years of high school, 3 different teams, committed to Ohio State, committed to Georgia. Now he might flip to Nebraska, which would be great. Those are just the facts. That those aren't feelings or emotions. Those are facts. So it just makes me a little nervous until he actually, it's a done deal. Once it's a done deal, I'll feel a lot different and better about it. Until then, and in this day and age of transfer portal stuff, there was a lot of people who thought that Kyle McCord was a done deal. So again, that's just kind of how the world works now. So Dylan Raiola's taking a visit this weekend. All right. So we'll see how that plays out. All eyes are on the they're on the trending on Twitter for Husker fans. Is he trending? Has he signed? What's happened? So it's kind of a situation where there's options out there for transfer portal quarterbacks. It's getting a little bit thin. We don't know what's going on in Daniel Kalen's head. Obviously, Kyle's out. So Dylan, not just because of his talent and ability, he becomes a integral part of this, because if he doesn't commit, it's kind of like, then what happens? So that's kind of the position Nebraska's in at the moment. All right. Let's see what we got here before I start to hit some of this other stuff. All right. An interesting point here. All right. And one of the notes I've got. So what does the 5-star quarterback bring with him, if anything, in terms of other players? So I do think there's something to be said for, hey, that guy's going to that school. I want to play with that guy. All right. There is something to be said for that. All right. You think, LeBron James and Chris Bosh didn't go to Miami because they knew they could win championships with Dwayne Wade. Miami's not a bad place to live, but they went there because they knew if all 3 of them were there, they could win championships, and look what happened. So it is very real that could happen. If Dylan commits, who knows? Maybe there's some other last-minute flips and commitments to Nebraska, potentially. I'm not saying that's a lock. What I am saying is it makes a lot of sense, because that's kind of how that's how their minds work. Great players want to play with other great players. All right. as far as a transfer quarterback, maybe a bridge quarterback for a year, it would be nice if we got a guy like that. I don't know why Matt Rule wouldn't look for a guy like that. At the same time, I'm curious to see how much Chuba Purdy can improve over a year when he gets some actual reps throughout the season as well. I'd be curious to see what Dylan can do as a true freshman. I wouldn't put, hey, you're going to start expectations, because I'm always, you got to earn it to begin with anyways. That's just me in general. Okay. I'm curious to see what happens. Obviously, it's a big deal. You know, Dylan, Daniel, we need one of those two guys as freshmen to commit. We probably need a transfer portal quarterback. Hopefully Chuba stays. You know, I mean, Matt Rule brought up the possibility of, he still likes Heinrich Harburg, a guy who hasn't had a lot of time at the quarterback position. I do get the feeling if we have a couple of guys commit, I do think he's a guy that's got the athleticism, the size, the build to play multiple positions beyond just quarterback as well. All right. So here are some of the other things I've got on the docket to talk about. And I'm going to go quickly. When you look at the transfer portal rankings as a whole, all right, the top 10 teams are as such. Number 1 transfer portal class right now is Colorado. Coach Prime going Coach Prime. Number 2 is LSU. Number 3, Ole Miss. Number 4, USC. Number 5, Auburn. Number 6, Florida State. Number 7, Miami. All right. Then you got number 8 is USC. The number 9 ranked transfer portal class is Oregon and UCLA. Man, there is a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4 Big Ten schools in here. Yeah, 4 Big Ten schools. Ironically, they're all the new ones joining the conference. It's USC, UCLA, Oregon, and no, Washington's not in here. I missed that one. My bad. But it's a majority of the new schools that are joining the conference. Colorado, then a lot of either SEC or Florida schools. Now, Nebraska's down here at 28th as far as the transfer portal class right now. Picking up a quarterback would definitely help. All right, they got 12 commits right now, 3 4-stars and 8 3-stars. Okay, which only adds up to 11. The sheet I was given, there must be a 2-star or something along those lines in that transfer portal commit class as well. Okay, now, one of the things I've not really talked about much at all on any of my shows, okay, whether it be Big Ten Chronicles or right here on the ticket, is some of the eye-catching coaching moves that have happened this offseason. And the one that stuck out to me the most, and I'm kind of curious to see if Satterfield is still the quarterback's coach come this, start of spring ball, because they would have a move done before then. Do they move him to tight ends? Do they bring in another quarterback's coach? What exactly happens there? So I'm going to keep my eye on that. Matt Rule mentioned before the season, the plan was that Satterfield would coach tight ends, but we'll see what happens. Okay. But this move was interesting to me. All right. USC taking UCLA's defensive coordinator, D'Anton Lynn. Okay. UCLA's defense was a number 11 total defense. All right. Up from number 89 in just his first season, and the number 1 defense in the entire Pac-12 last year, I might add as well. Okay. And he goes to USC from UCLA, which is a crosstown rival, and a team that they beat, I might add, 38-20 in their rivalry game this year. For me, I was just like, wow, that's a Louisville slugger to the gonads if you're UCLA right there. USC just coming in and taking your guy after you just beat UCLA with him. Okay, so that was interesting to me. All right, number 2 is Houston hired Tulane's Willie Fritz. All right, now Willie's only got 3 total losses in the last 2 years combined. And if you remember, they beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. Great game, great bowl game, big upset last year. All right, to be their head coach. I thought that was interesting because Houston had previously kind of stolen West Virginia's head coach, and then he didn't have such good success at Houston. Then he gets fired, and now they take Tulane's head coach. All right, Penn State. Seems like they're set to hire Kansas's offensive coordinator. I mean, Penn State, their offense woefully underperformed this year. If you watched them against Ohio State, I mean, my gosh, they couldn't throw the ball past 10 yards downfield hardly at all. Same thing versus Michigan. And so their defense, in my opinion, may be the best defense in the country. I think it's either Penn State or Michigan. 2 best defenses in the country. And the stats back that up, by the way. Okay. So had they had any sort of offense, and you watch Kansas the past couple of years, and I know a lot of that has to do with Lance Leipold, but you watch Kansas, they score points. So that could be a big upgrade for Penn State. I just wanted to chat about those quick coaching moves that kind of caught my eye. All right. So far this offseason. All right. And again, I'm curious to see what happens with Satterfield, with the quarterback's coach position, what's going on and all that good stuff. So the rest of this show, we're going to take a little break here shortly. All right. We got 11 bowl games that I actually find interesting. The bowl games that don't matter anymore. I used to look forward to bowl season so much. They used to play that song. I think it was actually when I played. It was the most wonderful time of the year, and then they'd highlight a bunch of the bowl games that were coming up. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Now you know why I don't sing. But my point is this. I love that. And then they'd highlight, maybe the top 5 bowl games that were coming up that bowl season. And, it's 10, 15 years ago. And as of about 5 years ago, the bowl games don't really matter anymore. And I miss that. I know we got the playoff games to look forward to next year. I'm still going to miss the bowl games actually mattering. And I blame Christian McCaffrey. I believe he was the first guy to ever sit out a bowl game. This is all your fault, man. You started a chain reaction that destroyed the bowl games. How dare you? Okay, there's about 49% sarcasm in my voice. All right, but I still am usually able to find anywhere between 5 to 10 bowl games that interest me. Okay, and I actually found 11. So when we come back after the break, I'm going to chat about those bowl games. Obviously, New Year's 6 games, college football playoff games will be a part of that. And then we got the people segment to round out the show. All right, again, call or text 402-464-5685. Send your questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, or otherwise. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
So we were just trying to figure out when we could just tape 2 shows, just depending on your schedule. I think if we tape Rob Stone on Thursday, we air that next week for Friday. And then we just, whenever, tape another show. We could tape one right before or right after about signing day. And then that can air the week after.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Adam Carriker on the Ticket. It is time to chat about a few bowl games. All right, of course, we're going to start with the CFP games. Now, I've already talked in the past about the travesty that happened to Florida State. All right, I support any lawsuits they may file, anything the Florida Attorney General might do. Now, we got some actual games to talk about. You got Michigan, Alabama. You got Washington, Texas. This could be the most intriguing college football playoff as far as matchups, potentially with good games as well, that we've ever seen. Okay. I thought the first year with Ohio State and Cardale Jones, third string, and them beating Alabama. Okay. I know Oregon kind of mollywopped Florida State in the Rose Bowl, and Jameis Winston ended up throwing the ball backwards, and Oregon ran it in. But I think it was interesting for a while. Plus, it was Florida State. It was the Rose Bowl. It was Jameis Winston. It was the Rose Bowl. And then you got the upset of a mighty Alabama by a third-string quarterback and Urban Meyer and Ohio State. To this day, I've always felt like that was probably the most intriguing college football playoff ever. The first one. The last one with 4 teams ever, because we go to 12 next year, could potentially be along those same lines, if not even better, just based on the matchups. The games were hard to pick. Like, I had a really hard time trying to pick who I thought the winner was going to be in each game. I know who I initially thought, and I've gone back and forth, and I've even given my opinion here on the air in the past, and they haven't played the game yet, so I reserve the right to change my opinion up until game time. But I'm sticking with the folks I had before. So let's talk first about Michigan, Alabama. Now, as I looked at it this morning, Alabama-Michigan was a pick'em game, all right? When I initially looked at it, all right, Michigan was favored by 1.5. Now, these are the 2 winningest college football programs of all time when you just look at total amounts of wins. All right, this is Alabama's 8th college football playoff appearance, and they're trying to win their 4th national title in the CFP era. Now, when you look at the predictor percentages of who's got the best odds to win the national championship with these 4 playoff teams. All right, they had Michigan at 34%, Alabama 34%, Texas at 22.5%, and man, poor old Washington 9.5%. They don't think much of them, I guess. The predictors, anyways. So you look at Michigan. This is a team that a lot of the year, most people said was the most well-rounded team in the country. Then all of a sudden you start to hear about how they don't throw the ball that well, and J.J. McCarthy didn't play well down the stretch and things of that nature, and maybe they don't have the talent on the outside to make big plays against Bama's defense, and they don't have the ability, all right, to corral Jalen Milroe, Alabama's very, very athletic quarterback, really since Alabama's bye week. Okay, Saban clearly made some adjustments, but he may be the most improved player in all of college football, Jalen Milroe. Nick Saban started calling a lot more quarterback-designed runs and keeping defenses off balance. Milroe clearly became comfortable in his role, and he's played a lot better since. He's gone from being the biggest liability on the team to a wild card / impact player that opposing defenses now have to be concerned about legitly in the college football playoff. Now, you look at Michigan. They didn't reach 300 yards of total offense in 3 of their last 4 games, and their passing game did struggle. But part of that, if you remember Penn State, they didn't run the ball, or they didn't pass the ball the entire second half. They just said, we're going to line up and hit you in the mouth. One of the best defenses in the entire frickin' country. It's not because they couldn't throw the ball. They didn't have to throw the ball. It was that simple. It was kind of the same story last year with J.J. McCarthy when everyone was like, oh, he's not playing that well. But then when they needed him to actually make plays against Ohio State, boom, there he was. All right, and it wasn't the Michigan's offense. They had some turnovers in that Fiesta Bowl versus TCU. But what'd they give up? 50-some points to TCU. It was their defense that let them down, and that's why they lost. So I still believe J.J. McCarthy. I never understood the Heisman hype he was getting for a while, but he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country. He's athletic. He can throw. He's going to be tested, okay? As someone who is predicting Michigan to win this game, the biggest trepidation I have, because I know Michigan's motivated. A lot of those guys came back to try to win a national title, guys that could have gone on to the NFL. The biggest trepidation I have is when I watch the video of their reaction of when they found out they were going to play Alabama. They were not excited to play Alabama. That is my biggest trepidation, because Alabama's coming off beating Georgia, a team that, I mean, you beat Georgia, you ain't going to be intimidated by nobody. And then you got Michigan here who clearly wasn't excited to play Alabama. I did not like that. That is my only trepidation. I'm going to stick with Michigan to win this game. I watched that Alabama team struggle versus USF early on in the year. I watched them not get dominated by Texas, but clearly outplayed. I watched them pull a rabbit out of their keisters against Auburn. Then, now they're the SEC champs. They went on and beat Georgia. We all know what that means. So they're clearly capable of beating Michigan. This is a Michigan team who's got one of the best defenses in the country. They're physical. And my one concern is they have not faced an athletic quarterback like Jalen Milroe this year. I'm not saying they can't defend him. Not saying that. We don't know. I'm saying we don't know because they haven't faced it. We don't know what's going to happen. All right. I'm going to take Michigan in a low-scoring slugfest. And I'm going to stick with that. I think this is the best Michigan team Harbaugh's had. If Michigan goes on, I know, the sign stealing, all that stuff. I'm going to leave that for another day. And if Michigan goes on to win the national title, there's an argument to be made that this is the best if they win the national title. There's an argument to be made that this may be the best Michigan team they've ever had. And yes, that includes 97, who would have lost to Nebraska, and all the other good Michigan teams they've had along the line. By the way, they don't have a lot of national titles at Michigan, just so you know. A lot of wins, not a lot of national titles, though. I looked up a stat at one point, and it was a while ago. But if I remember right, Nebraska either has the same amount of national titles as all the other schools in the Big Ten combined, or it's a tie. Like we have 5 and all the other schools combined have 5. But I'd have to go back and double check. That was a few years ago. But there's a lot of good schools, a lot of success, and obviously Nebraska's not anywhere near the top of that totem pole right now. But I'm just saying, if Michigan goes on to win, they have an argument that maybe this is their best team ever, and I know they're always going to have the sign-stealing thing that people pull out. Okay, just like Deflategate, just like Spygate with the Patriots, Tom Brady, and the like. And that's understandable. I get that. I got Michigan low-scoring slugfest. All right, let's talk about, so that's the Rose Bowl. Awesome backdrop and setting each and every year. Let's talk about Washington, Texas. I think this is going to be a high-scoring, fun game to watch. All right, so right now, Texas is a 4-point favorite. Texas has the advantage in the trenches. They have the better offensive line. They have the better defensive line. They have maybe the best defensive tackle duo in the entire country, from award winners to first-round draft picks to be. And so that gives Texas a gigantic advantage. I think part of the reason Texas is favored is brand. People hear Texas football, Washington football, they're going to give the edge to Texas. I think Texas is a very good football team, and frankly, they look like a national championship team if you just look at them and just look at how they're put together physically. I think a little bit of the brand is influencing how people view this game. I think the fact that Texas has the advantage in the trenches is gargantuan. I think this could be a matchup issue for Texas. I also think that Washington and what they've done this year has been undervalued. They went undefeated in what was this year in the entire country. What they finished playing like 6 straight weeks versus 6 ranked teams. I take that back. I think it was 5 out of 6 because Washington State was not ranked, and that was an in-state rivalry game that came down to the last play, a game-winning field goal. The last time those schools are going to play for who knows how long, so Washington State laid it out all out on the line, and they just found ways to win. And when they beat Oregon a second time, and they didn't just beat them, they were clearly the better team. That impressed me to no end. I think the fact that they have 8 wins by 1 score, I think that skews how people view them. I know that there was about a 2 or 3 game stretch where Michael Penix Jr. was incredibly sick. He wasn't even allowed to be around his teammates. He didn't play well. Probably contributed to that. They have 8 one-score wins, which is the most of any college football playoff team in the CFP era. And I get that. I also think they played a tough schedule. I think more than anything, here's why I'm picking Washington in another close game. I don't know that this is going to be a slugfest. Texas would like to make it a slugfest. Washington would not, although they ran the ball very well versus Oregon. I think it's a matchup issue. You've got the number 1 pass offense in the entire country, a future first-round draft pick at the quarterback position in Michael Penix, maybe top 15, top 10. You have 3 NFL wide receivers for Washington. And then Texas, what's their weakness? They're 96th in the country in pass defense. they may be not very good at what Washington is really good at. They're not very good at stopping what Washington is very good at doing. And that's going to lead to some fun for fans, some points. And I still think Washington's underrated and underappreciated. I would not be shocked one iota. Horns down, by the way, if Texas wins this game. Because like I said, they look like a national title team. Remember, they went into Alabama and they were clearly the better team and won by double digits on the road. But I'm going to go with Washington. I think Washington's being overlooked, and I think they're really good at doing what Texas has a hard time stopping. The key to Michigan beating Alabama is whether they can contain, all right, Jalen Milroe, the quarterback. The key to Washington, Texas, is whether Washington can protect Michael Penix Jr. If they can protect him and he has time to dissect that secondary, I like Washington's chances. I think that's the biggest key in those two games. All right, so let's get to some of the other games. New Year's 6 games. Oregon and Liberty. I mean, I always like watching the Cinderella Bowl. It's what I call the New Year's 6 game every year that has the G5 team in it. Liberty is the number 1 rush offense in the country. They're the only team in the entire country that averages over 300 rushing yards per game. They average 303 rush yards per game. Okay, but Oregon is an 18.5 point favorite. The over-under 65. There's going to be a lot of points. I do think Liberty will keep it close for about 10 plays. Okay. They're going to come out on fire. They're going to be uber motivated. I don't know how motivated Oregon's going to be. I believe Bo Nix is going to play the game, and that's huge. At least that's what the rumor anyways. But Oregon's going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be close. It will be interesting for a while until it's not. All right, Penn State, Ole Miss. This was probably the toughest bowl game for me to pick. All right. You've got Penn State, who had a letdown on offense this year, had a great season. Great defense. They don't score much on offense. You've got Ole Miss, who is capable of putting up points on offense. I think they're pretty evenly matched. I think when Ole Miss's offense is on the field versus Penn State defense, that's the matchup to watch. Okay. All right. I'm going with Ole Miss. Not a lot of confidence in it. But I do think it's actually one of the more intriguing bowl games to watch this year. All right. Penn State, obviously, they have most everybody playing in the bowl game, which helps, but obviously they're without their offensive coordinator, but he wasn't doing great to begin with. So we'll see how that all plays out come the bowl game. Now, Ohio State. So I've got Ole Miss in a close game. I think the more fast-paced that game becomes, the more it favors Ole Miss. The more of a slugfest it is and lower scoring it is, the better it favors Penn State. You look at Ohio State, Missouri. You've got quarterbacks, like obviously Kyle McCord's not going to play. Ohio State's dealing with a bunch of opt-outs. I think Ohio State's the better football team. Missouri has played some pretty good teams, and they look decent against teams like Georgia and Alabama. They didn't get ran off the field at all. They played some pretty good teams, and they're a very good football team. I think Ohio State's just a better football team, but Ohio State didn't want to be in this game. Their quarterback is gone. They've got all sorts of opt-outs all over the place. They don't want to play in this game. Missouri, it's been a while since they've been in a game like this. They're excited. I am picking Missouri because they want to be there, and Ohio State does not. All right. Now, another game that's interesting to me, the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Okay, the who can get to 2 points first and win the game bowl. You got number 20 Iowa, 10-2. All right, you got Tennessee, number 25, 8-4. Now, we know Iowa's offense, not great. Understatement of the millennium. Their defense is phenomenal, but I looked up this stat. The highest ranked offense that Iowa faced all year was 60th in the country, or in the 60s, and that was Michigan. That was it. They haven't faced an offense better than that. Now, Tennessee, a lot more explosiveness, a lot more ability to put up points, right? Well, here's the thing that makes me nervous about Tennessee, and I am going to pick Tennessee. Tennessee against the two best defenses they faced all year. So Missouri, they scored 7 points. In Georgia, they scored 10. That's an average of 8.5 points a game when they play a really good defense. So I'm going to go with Tennessee, but it's going to be low scoring. And again, it might be 3-2, 2-0, who knows, 6-4. All right. See what else I got here notes-wise. I will give Iowa this. Regular season-wise, they could have actually been 11-1 had that call against Minnesota not been blown. So they do find ways to win. I am going to pick Tennessee to win this game, though. All right, let's go here. Oklahoma, Arizona. Arizona is one of the hottest teams in the country. Oklahoma, do they even want to be here? I don't know. They don't have Dylan Gabriel. Okay, I think this would be a great game no matter what. I think the fact that Arizona's red hot, they're going to be excited. I don't think they've ever played in the Alamo Bowl. By the way, enjoy the River Walk. Phenomenal time. Be safe. Don't be stupid. All right, I'm going to go with Arizona because they're a lot hotter. This one was intriguing to me because SMU should have been in the New Year's Six Bowl over Liberty. I think that game versus Oregon, if it's SMU instead of Liberty, is a lot more interesting. A future ACC game is what this is because SMU is going to be in the ACC next year, playing Boston College. All right, I've got SMU winning this one. And honestly, I got it kind of fairly decisively. All right, last couple games I got here. We'll move on. James Madison, who was not going to be allowed to play in a bowl game, which was ridiculous. So I'm glad they're in the bowl game. All right, they're going to be excited to be here. All right, this is the number one rush defense in the country in James Madison. Their only loss was to App State, who's a pretty good team. Number 24 team in the country. They're playing Air Force, the number 2 rush offense in the country. So what do you think the key to that game is? Can Air Force run the ball? Can James Madison stop the run? That's the key to that game. All right, now they averaged 276 yards rushing per game. They were number 1 in rushing and near 300 yards a game until their last 4 games. Through 8 games, they were 8-0. They lost their last 4 games, and frankly, Air Force looked pretty bad. No momentum going into this bowl game. James Madison's first ever bowl game ever. I'm going James Madison. All right. Let's see. No, I'm not going to talk South Alabama, Eastern Michigan. That ain't exciting even for me. Scott Frost's least favorite team right there. All right, here's the last one that's interesting to me, the Pop-Tart Bowl. This is where everybody wants to be, the Pop-Tart Bowl. Bunch of Pop-Tarts out there running around. All right, you got 2 ranked teams. That's why it's interesting to me. Number 25, Kansas State. Number 16, NC State. All right, now Kansas State's actually interesting because their freshman quarterback. He's actually the reason that Will Howard's in the transfer portal because Will Howard's a good football player. But they started sharing a lot of time, and this guy can make plays with his legs. Avery Johnson, a freshman quarterback to keep your eye on in the future going forward. And if you're interested in something like this, Keegan Johnson. All right, he's on Kansas State this year as well. Keep your eye on him if you want this bowl game. Now, it's 2 ranked teams. I'm excited to watch the freshman quarterback for Kansas State, but okay, Dave Doran has had the Wolfpack in bowl games 11 of his 13 years as a head coach. But here's what really made it interesting for me, because NC State should be motivated to win this game because of this. And then we're going to head to commercial break. They've only had 1. They got 9 wins right now. NC State, in all their years as a football program, they've only got 1 10-win season in the history of their program. They win this bowl game, they'll have their second. And it's been a long time since they had that other 10-win season. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We got the people segment. Some of your questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, or otherwise, call or text 402-464-5685 right after this break.
Ag Lending. We're here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today, with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone, and here with me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know the new Honda sales are going really good right now at Honda of Lincoln, and with that, a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in. Can you tell our listeners about your pre-owned selection?
I'm happy to, Charlie. Like you said, with new Honda sales going very good, we have a lot of fresh trade-ins coming in daily, and not just Hondas. We have just about every maker model you can imagine, with over 100 pre-owned and certified pre-owned to choose from, and prices starting at just $5,900.
Wow, what about financing?
We have financing as low as 3.29% APR on certified Accords and CRV.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
WWE Friday Night SmackDown returns to Lincoln, January 12th, 6:45 p.m. Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Let's throw down right now.
See Rey Mysterio, LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, The Street Profits, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, Carlito, and more. It's WWE's Friday Night SmackDown in Lincoln, January 12th. Tickets start at $25 and on sale now at Ticketmaster.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got about 5 minutes to go. We're going to do a little overtime today since we started a little bit later. Has some technical difficulties. All right, so we got about 5 minutes here. We got the people segment. Before we dive into it, light that candle. Remember, GE Landscape Supply. They do a phenomenal job, ran by phenomenal people. Check them out at GELandscapeSupply.com. You can also check out CarrikerChronicles.com. It's where all your football and volleyball hopes and dreams will come true. It's just science. All right. Let's get to the people's segment. Again, we got about 5 minutes. So if you want to get your question, comments, concerns, thoughts, or otherwise in, it's 402-464-5685. All right, first question from Notorious B.I.B. Have you ever thrown the horns down signal? I do it all the time and even have that decal on my pickup. Again, that's Notorious B.I.B. You know, I don't remember ever specifically throwing the horns down signal. Now, can I definitively say that I've never done it? No. I've been around a lot of Texas guys in my life, like Brian Arakpo in DC and just a lot of guys all over the place. So the odds are at some point, just to be kind of a jerk a-hole, I probably did it about 1,000 times to one of them. But I don't remember specifically, but the odds are that I probably did. Here's what I will share. All right, and I'm going to throw my son's. So I ran the offense for my son's team that went down to nationals in Florida this past year, tackle football team. But the head coach, all right, don't say James. I won't say his last name, although I should. All right, I'll just say James. we were kind of merging teams, so to speak, so we could do this thing, kind of give these boys an opportunity, a special experience, going down to Florida, playing teams from all over the country, playing at nationals. And when we were merging teams, his bright idea, well, you're just going to take our team name, you're going to take our decal, and you're going to wear our jerseys and colors. You're not absorbing us. We're merging, my friend. So then his brilliant idea was to call ourselves the Longhorns with not just that, the freaking Texas Longhorns logo on our jersey and on the helmets. I said, James, no. Like, I'm not going to be picky. Like, the fact that you wanted us to take on everything that was already yours, like you're absorbing us, what was that? That was disrespectful. I'm like, I'm not going to be uber picky because you've agreed to pick a mutual name. But you could have picked turd buckets, and I would have said yes to that over this. So the team ended up being called the Longhorns because I chatted with my wife, and she said, you know, Adam, you don't really want to be too picky about everything. But where James relented was the Longhorns logo. There was no Longhorns logo anywhere to be found. Anywhere, not the Texas one. And so that was our compromise. But here's the interesting thing. You know, 3 weeks later, he's texting all his coaches in a group text. He's like, what do you think of these jerseys and these jerseys? And then he goes, this is my favorite one. You want to guess what was all over the last jersey he sent that was his favorite one? The Longhorns, Texas Longhorns logo everywhere. Oh, I disliked that text and that picture quicker than a hiccup. Now, we ended up being called the Longhorns, but we were not going to have that ugly logo anywhere. And so the whole year is not an issue after this. Like, this happens back in last March. You know, we're getting everything ready for when practice starts in August and whatnot. And it's no issue, no problem. We're the Longhorns. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever. You know, he finally agreed to have a mutual name, and he wasn't going to have that ugly logo everywhere. And so I was like, fine. It's about the kids. That's what matters the most. We're down in Florida taking pictures. Months have gone by. And all of a sudden, he wants everyone to start throwing up the hook 'em horns. And he just looks at me and smiles. And he knows. He knows. He acted like he did it, but he knew. What a chowderhead. James, you're a chowderhead. You're my guy, you're my boy, but you're a chowderhead. I just want you to know that. No, there's a picture with everybody on the team, except for two people throwing up the hook 'em horns, and it's me and Jacob. So we represented through silent protest. We didn't even have to get violent. It's not about violence, ladies. You ain't got to be violent to protest. You could be silent in protest. I have never shared that with anyone, so I figured I'd do it publicly right here right now. James, I love you. Thank you for coaching the team. You did a phenomenal job, but you're a chowderhead, and I just want you to know that. All right, now let's get to the last question. All right, Adam, this is from Aaron. How do you feel about Chuba and his past injuries as our number 2? We got about a minute here. All right, so we had a great season. James did a great job. That was just the one thing. He kept like poking me with it. You know, when he waited all year. Then down in Florida, he just kept poking me with it. Anyways, I digress. How do I feel about Chuba and his past injuries as our number 2 quarterback? You know, it's one of those things where I think you got to give him a chance. He's shown he's got the ability to throw. He's got the ability to run. Look what he was able to do with limited reps. Now, could he have done things better? Absolutely. A lot of things on offense could have been done a lot better last year. Okay. I'm hoping the guy stays. You know, that's the one thing in all of this. We're talking about Dillon. We're talking about Kyle McCord. We're talking about Daniel Kalen. What about, we'll figure out Harburg. Hopefully he stays. He's a guy that can contribute to this offense and this team. I hope Chuba Purdy stays. He was higher ranked, if you didn't know this, a higher ranked recruit than his brother Brock, who's now on one of the best teams in the NFL, Super Bowl contender, and he's a really good quarterback than his brother Brock Purdy. So I'm curious. I have no problem with him being in the mix as a quarterback. If he earns a starting job, great. If he's number 3, if he's number 2, stay around, my man. Let's see what happens. There's a lot of people in Husker Nation who think you've got a lot of talent and ability and just want to see what happens when you're not just doing scout team reps and you're actually getting reps. I know we just had the surgery, get healthy, get right, but I'm curious to see what he can do. All right. Jake, you did a phenomenal job today. I blame myself for everything that didn't go right. It's always my fault. and I accept that, and it's okay. Because I've got a case of the Fridays National Championship match on Sunday. Dylan Raiola watch, I guess that's weird to say, throughout the weekend. Transfer portal watch, so much going on. Oh, by the way, happy holidays. Go Big Red, and always remember to throw the ball.
New year, new career. The new year is just around the corner. Why not start it off strong with a new career? General